And in terms of the daylight conditions, this sensor does an excellent job, and you can choose between a 15x and a 30x zoom mode from the camera's app interface. The phone can capture decent portraits while keeping the natural skin tone and also maintaining the edge detection really well. Hey guys, welcome back to yet another video of TechPaper. Hopefully you're having a great day. Adil here, your host, and in this particular video I'm about to review the camera of Oppo's F21 Pro. I've recently unboxed and reviewed this device, and you can just click on the card icon to watch that particular video. Now, moving on to the camera section of the Oppo's F21 Pro, this smartphone carries a 64 megapixel rear camera. I'd like to mention that this is the first phone in the F series to come up with a 64 megapixel primary shooter. Along with that, you are getting a 2 megapixel micro sensor, which works just surprisingly well, and there is also a 2 megapixel depth sensor for portrait shots. And I must say that this phone can capture stunning portraits. Well, there are some downsides obviously, but we'll dig into that in the later part of the video. For the time being, let's just jump on to the selfie shooter, and this smartphone carries a special selfie shooter that has been made between the collaboration of Oppo and Sony, and it is the Sony's IMX709 sensor, and this sensor is based on RGB-W technology instead of the RGB that we normally find in the cameras. Well, what difference does that make? This particular smartphone selfie shooter can capture 60% more light as per Oppo, and we're going to test their claim in this review. So stay tuned and watch this video till the very end. Let's just jump on to the camera review of Oppo's F21 Pro, and here we go. Let's take a look at the Oppo's F21's camera hardware, and this smartphone comes with a 64 megapixel primary shooter with f1.7 aperture. You also get a 2 megapixel micro lens that can do 15x to 30x zoom, and there's also a 2 megapixel depth sensor for portrait shots, and they just look stunning. Well, now let's take a look at the primary sensor of the Oppo's F21 Pro, which is a 64 megapixel sensor. And in terms of the daylight conditions, this sensor does an excellent job in bringing the details, and the colors that it can capture are really well, and the camera do offer ample details too. I did not find any saturation issue, and the color remains more or less natural, and even the sky's color is also quite good after processing. The sharpness levels are reasonably well until you pixel peep, but overall the images that you can capture with the Oppo's F21 Pro's primary sensor are reasonably well, and you won't find any problem. The dynamic range of the camera is also very good, and it works pretty well. Overall, the daylight abilities of the Oppo's F21 Pro's primary sensor are no doubt very good. There is a toggle button to switch between the standard and 2x zoom. However, you can swipe to the left side while holding the toggle button to use up to 5x and 10x zoom. Photos that are captured at 2x are great. However, if you'd like to capture shots at 5x and 10x zoom, make sure that there's enough light around your subject for better results. Overall, the primary sensor of the Oppo's F21 Pro delivers excellent performance. And now let's take a look at the key selling point of the phone, which is its 2 megapixel micro sensor, and it is really an impressive sensor, and I'm pretty sure that you'll love the results. There's a 2 megapixel micro sensor built into the phone, and you can choose between a 15x and a 30x zoom mode from the camera's app interface. The microscopic mode not only looks and feels authentic, but it is exciting when used. Images of extremely thin objects, surfaces, and more can be captured to use on social media using this device. I've tested this particular lens on a wide range of materials and objects, including cloths, microfiber, as well as backs of numerous mobile devices and tabletops, and I must say that the microsensor's results never failed to wow me. This particular sensor is capable of capturing fine details in ultra close-up shots, and the resulting images are worth uploading on your social media. Well, now it's time to take a look at the portrait shots that are captured with the Oppo's F21 Pro, and speaking about those, the phone can capture decent portraits while keeping the natural skin tone and also maintaining the edge detection really well. The portraits that are captured with the phone came out very well, and they are also bright and offer ample details too. During the low light photography, the phone manages to capture reasonable portrait shots and adds artificial intelligence based lighting into the photos to enhance the lighting. The bokeh flare mode can also be fun, and you can capture impressive photos when there is light in the background. because when there is light in the background and you're capturing a portrait, the phone adds these special flares into the background that takes the photos to the next level. And finally, let's just talk about the 32 megapixel Sony's IMX709 sensor, which is an RGBW sensor. So in this particular camera, you're not only getting the standard red, green and blue, but you're also getting the white tone, and this really helps to capture great images even under low light situations. So let's just find out how well the camera can perform. And the selfies that I've captured with the phone turned out to be pretty good. And once again, we liked the skin tone of the selfies, and the colors around the object looked good, along with the great dynamic range. Since the selfies are more of a personal choice, you can judge their quality as the images are being shown on your screen right now. The phone also has the portrait mode for the selfies, and here you have a bunch of options including artificial intelligence and also the bokeh flare portrait. While it does a good job, the low light photography with the front cam was also fun while testing. In our tests, the F21 Pro did manage to capture and deliver reasonable images from the front cam. However, I wouldn't say there is a massive difference when compared to other Oppo smartphone for the selfies. And at the top of that, if you do not want the default beautification mode in the selfies, tap on the effect button, then modify or disable the retouch options, whatever you prefer. Overall, the 32 megapixel selfie shooter of the Oppo's F21 Pro delivers on to the promise of the Oppo and captures excellent selfies. Well, I guess now it's time to check out the video recording of the phone, and the phone can capture videos from the front as well as from the back camera at 1080p at 30 frames per second. It has electronic image stabilization instead of the OIS that you would expect from Oppo in this particular price range. Speaking about the quality of the videos that you can capture with the Oppo's F21 Pro, it is quite decent but not the class leading. Overall, the colors, the detail and the dynamic range in the video is quite decent for this particular segment. And not only you can record standard videos from the rear camera, but there is an option to record slow motion videos, and the results are reasonably well. What I've liked about the phone's video is the clarity of the sound that you can capture from the front and rear both. Okay guys, so here's a rear camera sample of Oppo's F21 Pro at 1080p and 30 frames per second. I'm walking right now, and just to test the stabilization of the footage, I'm walking at medium pace for the time being, and now I'm kind of running, and I did not find any unstabilized footage so far. So overall, the stabilization test is clear. Let's just test out the focus of the camera, and here we go. The focus is quite decent. Let's test it with the hand. Here we go. Test 1 passed. Test 2 is clear too. Test 3 is also passed. Okay guys, so here's a front cam sample of the Oppo's F21 Pro. Do let me know what do you think of it in the comments below. It is being recorded at 1080p 30 frames per second, and speaking about stabilization, I'm walking right now and still the video is stabilized. There are no shakes. And speaking about the exposure control, let's just test that. There are sharp lights behind me, yet the phone controls the exposure pretty well, so there's no complaint there. As far as the overall quality, in terms of me looking into the camera and screen right now, it just looks fine. Okay guys, so here's the front cam sample of the Oppo's F21 Pro in the early morning. There is a little light, but still the phone has managed to control the lighting overall. Not only I'm bright enough, but the overall environment around me is also lit. So there we go. And to justify my claim, you have seen the videos from the front as well as from the rear camera of the Oppo's F21 Pro on your screen. Okay guys, so that was pretty much it about the camera review of the Oppo's F21 Pro. I do hope that you liked this, and if you really did, a like on the video and a sub to the channel will be appreciated. Now let's just jump on to the pros and cons section. And speaking about the cons first, this smartphone is missing ultra-wide sensor, which is kind of mandatory, and at the top of that, the smartphone is also missing 4K video recording. So these are the downsides that I found in this particular smartphone. While speaking about the pros, you can capture stunning daylight shots, and along with that the video recording capability is also fine. You can record stabilized video with the Oppo F21 Pro, and along with that the smartphone also captures stunning selfies even in low light, and you will not be disappointed when it comes to that. So there goes my conclusion of the Oppo F21 Pro. Do let me know what do you think about the smartphone in the comments below, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Till then, peace out.